So, good morning, everybody. We start with a dismal science on such a beautiful day. Economy started as a dismal science because in the beginning, all the economists of the classical school were not really asking the questions that we ask today, which is how to secure growth. This is really the main topic of economics today. But in the beginning, when the economics as a science was young, the key question that economists answered was, where is this leading to? What is the stationary state, so to speak? And this was the endeavor of Adam Smith, Ricardo, Marx, as you all know, and one of the last economists to deal with the problem was Joseph Schumpeter and John Maynard Keynes. In 1936, John Keynes wrote in the very famous Economic Prospects of Our Grandchildren that perhaps in 60, 80 years when grandchildren then will mature, there will be an affluent society where growth will no longer be needed and economy will change into sort of a housekeeping science in the same way that dentists today function. We will no longer be, so to speak, priests of this dawn of this new era of growth. Now then we used to answer the question, what is the world we want to live in? How will it look like when we stop growing? Where is this going to? How will we live in an affluent society? Due to reasons that we have no time to go into today, this question absolutely disappeared from economics. So if you ask an economist, what is the world we want to live in, he will run away, blush, and hide somewhere very deep underground. It is, we say, or we are taught, this is the kind of a question we cannot answer because it is so-called normative. The world we want to live in. You know, economics, we are taught, is supposed to describe the world as it is, not as we want it to be. This is, of course, nonsense because the whole sentence which Milton Friedman introduced, economy as a positive science. This is a famous article 50 years back, I believe. In it he wrote, economics should be a value-free, positive science, and it shouldn't be normative. It shouldn't tell the way things should be, but the way things are. The very sentence, economics should be a positive science, is, of course, a normative statement, because it doesn't describe the way the economy is, but the way we, or Milton Friedman, wanted it to be. What has happened since is that we've absolutely lost this focus on a stationary state, and the only thing we focused on is growth. And so one has to ask the question, is growth an outcome of market democracy? This is commonly believed and commonly understood, or is growth a conditio sine qua non of market democracy? This is a very hard question because yesterday we debated that growth is possible even outside the realms of Western model. We've seen very significant growth in China and in other countries that definitely are not democratic, or if you want, a mixture of extreme Klondike capitalism with rigid control from the government. So what has happened in the past is that we've completely forgot about something that almost sounds rude, and I'm very careful when I say the sentence during daylight. It's much nicer during the night time. But if we want to stimulate the economy, which is something that we have done in the past, we also have to be ready to slow down growth. Now, fiscal policy works in a similar way like alcohol, and let me try and explain that. Money can travel in time, and the institute through which it does, it's called interest rate. It's this beam me up, Scotty, teleport from Star Trek. So money you can actually suck your own money from your future. You know, you can take a loan, you can spend it now, and then, of course, you will have a lack of it in the future, but time really can't, or you can save and kind of transport the money from the past to the future. If you've noticed, energy or your mood can also travel in time a little bit, not as long as 20 years, but you know that the energy of your weekend is constant, but you can, through the Institute of Alcohol, increase your Friday evening's mood at the expense of your Saturday morning. And so you can kind of vacuum the energy from the past and laser beam it to Friday evening, but the energy of the weekend is constant. You know, you're not really, you didn't gain any energy, you just sucked it. Now, and the problem is, and this I think is part of the answer, the world that we want to live in. Now, of course, the world is in a hangover situation, and of course, I don't know whether any one of you has ever had the situation, but it's very easy to regulate oneself on Saturday morning when one is hung up. You don't feel like drinking, and you have other troubles, and there's all these self-regulation. I will never do this and that again. I'll never have this particular combination of drinks again. This is exactly, in my view, the situation as is today. Everybody wants regulation, everybody demands regulation, and nobody wants to really partake of the cup again. So my question is, this is all fine, this is natural. My question is, what will happen with us when Friday evening will happen again, maybe in 3 years, maybe in 7 years? It's all looking pretty Thursday as of today. It looks like Friday, from this point of view, is not very far away. And my fear is that come Friday again, we will repeat exactly the same mistakes as we have done in the past. There was a huge talk yesterday about barbarians at the gate and our European or Western fear of, you know, the other cultures. And I absolutely agree. Yes, barbarians are at the gate, but from the inside. There were two significant events around the year 2001. First of them was the terrorist attack, September 11th, and you can easily see on the index, in 3 months the index dropped by 30%, but in 3 months the value of Dow Jones was back to the original levels and continued to grow. So it was an external shock which was very quick and didn't harm much. 3 months later, we had the Enron scandal with Arthur Andersen, and this I call the accountant attack. This was led by people who look like you and me. They have, you know, ties, they speak English, they brush their teeth, they don't use swords, and every single dollar that they earned was thanks to the system that they themselves attacked. And my point is here, this attack of the accountants, or if you will, barbarians from within, harmed the American economy 6 times and more aggressively than the terrorist attack. Economies, it seems to, from the history, are very resilient towards external attacks, such as wars, such as floods, such as terrorist attacks, but they're very sensitive to a flight of trust from within, when something actually happens that we ourselves, when something rotten is, so to speak, in the kingdom of, I don't want to pick on any particular country, so let's take Sweden, for example. So unless we are ready to slow down growth, and you know, and I think my time is running out, and I'd rather have a debate with distinguished panelists. There is a lot of talk of let's slow down, let's decrease deficits, and let's slow down indebting of the country. To which I say, but dear gentlemen and gentlewomen, this is barely enough. We should be talking about budget surpluses. If we want to stimulate the economy during the bad times, we have to, as in the energy thing, there really is some law that keeps this energy bulks together. We have to have budget surpluses. In other words, today's fiscal policy is far left from Keynes. Keynes, in today's perspective, is an extreme right-winger because he would ordain the world in the years 2001 to 2008 budget surpluses. Now, the irony is that there is no rule in Europe nor in America that actually forces governments to run budget surpluses during the good times, and there is no reason why any country should be allowed 3% deficits when it grows 7 or 10%. And my feeling is that we've kind of shifted psychologically the balanced budget to -3. So if a country is running deficits that are lesser than 3%, they get applauded as if it was a budget surplus. Much agree with Farid Zacharias yesterday. If our system collapses, it will not be a collapse due to the external barbarians, but due to the barbarians in us, so to speak, and that is something that we need to be much aware of. So let me conclude by saying that from all the social sciences, economics is the only science that is often asked the question about the future. You don't go around asking sociologists, well, will racism in Czech Republic end, or when will the rights of women in Venezuela be equal to the rights of men? You don't ask lawyers about the future. Very rarely do you ask political scientists, safe for elections, but very rarely do you ask lawyers about the future development. But mark this, if you ever talk to an economist, the first natural question is, what will be inflation like next year? What will be GDP like next year? So there is an irony in economists really becoming the prophets of our era, and the reaction that we had to a little decrease in growth was almost a religious disappointment that this god of growth, after 7 very good years, for 1 year he or she stumbled, and it was sort of a religious disappointment that how come this growth that we all have a right to is not functioning. And the very fact that we are asking and wanting to throw down the whole system of capitalism because it didn't grow for 1 year speaks very low of our belief in democracy and in capitalism, because with all due respect, if communism could make everyone 10% richer or 7% richer annually, you know, that system is not difficult to steer. We have one single bullet answer for everything, and that's growth. We have a Greek problem, we'll grow out of it. We have a debt problem, we'll grow out of it. We have high unemployment, we'll grow out of it. Let's just believe that and this is of course a stupid simple question. It's like as if we had 1 beer here and we were quarreling for it, and somebody would come with a second beer, then the problem is solved because we've grown, and the distribution problem is much simpler when somebody actually keeps giving you growth. So let's grow out of this.